welcome to the lectern, Mr. Stephen Bear. Give it
Just get to a quiet spot in your mind and ask yourself, what's it going to feel like the day I graduate? I want you to think about, what's the ground going to feel like? Is it wet or dry? The air dry? Is the sun hot? Is your cap guarding your face from the sun? Graduation. Like Rupert said, I teach a number of classes. I have kind of a diverse background. I want to share with you some of that through a few stories. One is about a friend of mine. He won't want me to name him, so I'm just going to call him Rocky. Another one's about somebody you've all heard of. He's one of the most recognized people on earth. His name is Muhammad Ali. And another one's about, I'm not sure if any of you sports fans go back as far as I do, a guy named Sandy Koufax. Anybody hear of him? Who was Sandy Koufax?
Baseball player.
Baseball player? You know the team? No? How many ladies hear sports and go, I don't even want to hear it anymore. I'm not a sports fan.
We love sports.
So I'm going to ask you, we're talking about how to express yourself, but the subtitle of this talk really is when life knocks you down. Because life knocks us all down. I asked a number of my students last night, I said, I'm going to give this talk at AI tomorrow. What's AI? These are electronics engineering students. They don't know what AI is. And I said, well, it's not important what AI is. They're kind of like you guys. They're at some point in their education, they're thinking about, why do I do this? Why do I give up partying? Why do I give up playing ball? Why do I give up a job maybe? Why do you? Well, the clearer that picture is, the clearer that reason is, it seems to me, when life comes around and knocks you down, it's going to be the others to get up and continue school. He had a teacher come over where he and his buddies were hanging around in the playground, talking whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure if I'd use the pejorative in this audience, but they're just shooting the goal. The teacher came over and looked at him and said, looked right at Muhammad Ali and said, you'll never be anything. So, time passed by, he continued with his golden gloves. Eventually, he went to the U.S. Olympics and won a gold medal. What do you think he did with his gold medal?
He hit him with it.
He marched back to that junior high school. He marched up to that teacher. He showed her his golden medal. And he said, so I'm not going to be nothing, honey. So here's this young guy. He's really gifted. They say that he can put his hand around a baseball and his fingers would touch. His fingers were so long. He had signed with the Dodgers. At that time, this was 19. Eventually, Sandy Koufax became someone who most sports fans rate in the top 5 pitchers of all time. And he did it from the time he was 25 to the time he was 30. So he had to retire. One of the things he learned to do is he learned to spin this thing so that the threads that were leading the way pushed the air out of the way, and the ones that were coming back moved the air back so the ball would move. And they call it a curveball, right? You know what a curveball is? You guys have been in the batter's box. Maybe you're standing there, you're waiting for the ball. You think the ball's going to go right over the plate, and then it's headed directly for you. It knocks you down. But one of the things that he had to deal with was he had arthritis. And the last few years of his career, he had to take cortisone shots in his arm to get him through a baseball game. And the baseball games, like sports, aren't like today. They don't do platooning, where you have a specialist go in for 2 innings here, or 3 innings there. You got a starter, an intermediate guy, a guy who comes in from the 6th inning to the 8th, and then a finisher. Baseball pitchers used to start and finish their own games. So he would go out there for the last couple of years. He couldn't stand the pain in his arm from the arthritis. He had to fill it with Novocaine and with some other medicine to get him through it. Life knocked him down. He was destined to be the greatest of the greatest, and he had to leave the game at 30 because life knocked him down. Well, he could have taken that and kind of packed his bags and gone and had a pity party, or decided, you know, That's it for me. But Sandy Koufax, does anybody disagree with me that life happens and it knocks you down? The goal that you have only has as much strength as you give it. And if you can get in touch with what it feels like, what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, what's it going to be like when you get there? There's real power in that. So how about Rocky? I think Rocky had some faith in the future. Yes. Let me continue with the Rocky story. So Rocky has this partner. He thinks life's great. They have the biggest franchise in Southern California. They're into vending, and they have every Pizza Hut in Southern California. Cash business. They're 40 years old, young, full of you know what. Life's great. And then he has a heart attack.
Oh, shit.
Gets a call, your buddy died in Palm Springs. Got a heart attack, end of story. Please stop and think, what's it going to feel like to graduate? What's the air like? Is it damp? Is it dry? The ground wet? How are you going to feel inside? But when you get done with that, I want you to ask you to do something that's more important than that, and that is, how are the people that love you going to feel? I'll bet a bunch of you guys, you'll be the first one in your family to graduate. How are your uncles and cousins and aunts and grandparents and parents, how are they going to feel?